This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and when I'm not driving my sweet AMC Pacer through the car wash, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world. You missed a spot.
Your creative work might look a little different this year, but For Culture grants can still help you put your ideas in motion and share them with King County. Check this out. For Culture is now offering grants in 3 disciplines: art, heritage, and historic preservation. Apply by April 28th. For more information, go to forculture.org. Brought to you by For Culture. As a cultural funding agency for King County, For Culture works to make our region vibrant. Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, All Day Saturday.
This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blues.
Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Star Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson. This is Star Time.
Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour. K-Fox Night.
You looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in the
Myself, D-Money.
Nice Size Patrol.
Taylor Hart.
This is Spencia, the Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina. Chad Cheddar.
Come on.
Northwest Rat Gang.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell them who we talking.
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams is your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojo Mondays. This is KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojo Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration. Music all day and all night. Saturdays on Rainier Avenue Radio.org. 2021 is the year of the local election. From Fire District Commission to School Board to City Council, there are over 300 offices up for election this year in King County alone. This could be your chance to serve in your community. Running for office can be daunting. We get it. With so many moving pieces, it's important to know what paperwork is due, when, how to file to put your name on the ballot, what's needed for a voter pamphlet, where you can and can't put campaign signs, how to get voter lists. That's where King County elections comes in. Well, we can't teach you how to campaign. We can teach you how to make your run official. Join us for one of our upcoming candidate workshops in April. Thursday, April 1st, 6 p.m., 8 p.m. Saturday, April 17th, 10 a.m. to noon. Thursday, April 29th, 10 a.m. to noon. Join us for one of our upcoming candidate workshops in April to learn the ins and outs of becoming a candidate here in King County. Sign up today at bit.ly King Workshops to get ready to run. That's bit.ly /King Workshops.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.radio.world.
You're listening to Heartbeat Radio. I'm your host, Cindi Bright. Heartbeat Radio is a conversation aimed to take the pulse of corporate America. Opportunities for people of color, we're getting lost in the shuffle of change. I'm that provocateur of change. The hearts of corporate America are addressed. Access and opportunities will be accelerated for all people. Through Heartbeat Radio, you will gain a deeper understanding of what is necessary for change. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Heartbeat Radio. It's Wednesday evening. The sun is still out. I'm happy to have you joining us tonight. We have a good show planned for you tonight. I wanted to start off before I introduce how we're having the show tonight. A couple things I wanted to say. One, if you're all watching what's happening on the news and this fight for justice, I'm sending a warm heart hug out to everybody, because if you're having the kind of days I'm having watching this mess, what our communities have to go through for justice, I'm really praying and hopefully that we see justice in this case. To that end, it is the 4-year anniversary of Rainier Avenue Radio today. That deserves a big shout out. We are community broadcasting. We are the new media, the media that is coming forward and telling you the truth, the media that is not portraying brown and black people as inferior. We are the media that is out in the community, bringing relevant stories to you, relevant conversation of what we intend to do to propel brown and black people. So to that end, my show Heartbeat, as you know, I'm in my 3rd year of this. I have focused on ecosystems that impact brown and black people. And so tonight we have a great show for you. We have it broken out in 2 segments. Our first segment is we have the esteemed chair of the Washington Democrats, Ms. Tina Podlodowski, who's joining us tonight. along with my co-host Joy Stanford. We're going to have a conversation with her to hear about what's happening in the state legislature as they're heading into their second half of session. And then on the second half of the show, we're having Colleen Echohawk join us. She is a candidate for the mayor position, and she has a vision of a new reimagined Seattle. So we'll look forward to hearing from her. So let me first introduce Joy Stanford, who has been my co-host coming in and having this conversation. Hey, Joy.
Hey.
And then, with no further ado, let's welcome back to Heartbeat Radio, the chair of the Washington State Democrats here,
This is Tina.
Tina Podlodowski. Welcome back, Tina.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Happy 4th anniversary to Rainier Avenue Radio. Happy 3rd anniversary and a little bit to Heartbeat and the amazing work that you do, Cindi. And this year, having Joy Stanford on just adds an incredible aspect to it. I'm so excited to be with you here tonight and talk a little bit about things that are happening in the state legislature.
Yeah, we are grateful to have you here, Tina. We know it's a busy time right now. And so thank you. I'm elated to have Joy on too. I call her my color commentator, pardon the pun. But she brings the humor when I start getting serious about stuff. She is a good light.
I lighten the mood. But I do want to say, I'm not watching it, Cindi, like you are and many of my friends. I'm not watching the trial. I'm keeping track with certain people that I know will post stuff, but it's just too triggering. It's too depressing. And it's awful. It's awful that this had to happen and that a life was lost. And so, and I don't know if I have the strength right now to just sit through that and watch it all and rewatch the video. And so I just try to keep up with what you post and other folks that I follow closely who I know are posting, good stuff.
I told my son this morning that I try to make protein shakes every morning for breakfast, and damn it if they don't turn out to be margaritas every damn morning as I'm watching this.
A little vodka in the protein, a little vodka.
A little. Miss Tina, what do you want to share with our community today? I've been following several different legislators posting, so I know you have some really good things to share with the community. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start in light of things that are happening in Minnesota and the trial of the murderer of George Floyd. I mean, I think we want to talk about what the Washington State Legislature is doing around police accountability. Lots of bills have passed on this, and State Representative Jesse Johnson of Federal Way is really being a champion on all of these. The bills that I'm going to talk about, they are all through the House, and they are awaiting a Senate floor vote that will happen either this week or next. So we'll definitely urge folks to talk to their senators about these. What happens when it gets to a Senate floor vote is incredibly frustrating to watch as well, because all of these votes end up being long and difficult since the Republican side is loading them up with tons and tons of amendments that try to take up time, obstruct the schedule of voting action. So the Democratic majority are having to work very, very hard to pass these through, but we're expecting all 4 of these bills to pass. House Bill 1054 reforms police tactics by banning chokeholds, limiting tear gas and military equipment, requiring visible name badges and badge numbers, and banning no-knock warrants. This has passed the House and is awaiting a Senate vote. It is long overdue. House Bill 1310 establishes a standard that law enforcement use the minimum amount of force necessary in any situation. They must exhaust every possible de-escalation tactic before using force, and requires the Attorney General's office and police departments to immediately adopt policies requiring the use of de-escalation tactics. This has also passed the House and is awaiting a Senate vote. House Bill 1267 establishes an independent agency to do use of force investigations, and that's critically important to not have police departments investigating themselves. And a blatant example of that is what happened in Pierce County in the Manny Ellis case. This has passed the House and it's sitting in the Senate as well. And then the final bill, which is a Senate bill, is Senate Bill 5051. It makes it easier for the Criminal Justice Training Commission to decertify bad police officers. So if they are fired by the department for misconduct, they will not be hired by a different department instead. There's an issue that's been happening not just in Washington state, but around the country as these officers get moved around to different departments. This is the teeth in many ways that enforces the stricter rules and regulations that the other bills have put in place. This has passed the Senate and is awaiting the House vote. So these 4 bills are just dramatic change for every single police department in Washington state. It doesn't put us in the sense of piecemeal legislation to changing police departments. This will be statewide. And as a previous Seattle City Council member who back in 1999, I wrote the bill for the first civilian oversight of a police department here in Washington state. It is horrifying for me that it's taken 21 years to get here, but it is also heartening that each and every one of these bills have teeth and consequences and change and will get their way through the legislature in this session. So Cindi, Joy, any comments about any of those kinds of bills?
I'm going to get a protein shake right now so that we can cheers to you guys and our legislators for doing this. It is a huge deal.
I'd like to add 2 things on top of those as well. First, the Supreme Court decision in the Blake case. Simple drug possession is no longer something that you can be arrested for in Washington state. Any current cases are being dropped. All the previous cases are being vacated.
Wow.
And that is amazing. And that has been a part of something that's been our criminal justice system that has not obviously been equally applied. And we can go into that one for a long period of time. And the bill that is sitting on the governor's desk to be signed, which bans private prisons in Washington state.
I saw that.
All of these things are incredible progress in one session to make happen.
Yeah, that is.
This is what I say is this is what happens when you elect serious, real public servants, people who are fighting for their community and fighting for our state as a whole, for everyone, no matter if you voted for them or not. They are fighting for you and they are doing what is right, even when it's not popular. I love my legislature right now. I love what they're doing.
Well, and it speaks to the importance too of electing Black and brown people to the state
Absolutely.
legislature. There is no way that Senate Bill 5051 would have passed if Tawana Nobles had not been elected senator in District 28. There's no way that Steve Oban would have voted for this bill, and she made the difference in making these bills happen. Having someone like Jesse Johnson, they're shepherding these bills through in the House, leading on these different efforts, makes the difference. So, as we move into this local election season, and the lead into your program was talking about running for office. Oh my gosh, we want to make sure Black people are running for office, Latinx people are running for office, Native Americans are running for office, Asia Pacific Islanders are running for office. It absolutely positively stinks that I'm not saying Representative Joy Stanford right now. Nobody deserves to be in the legislature more. It breaks my heart that you are not there. And Cindi Bright, Cindi Bright sounds pretty dang good to me. I don't know if that's what your path will end up being.
But we get to do this.
Yeah.
And we get to say everything they can't say because they're elected officials and we are not.
That's true. That's true. There are many things that I get to say as a state party chair that our elected officials get to say. There are many things I wish I could say, even though as a state party chair, that I can't. But you guys keep it real and you inform everyone about what's really, really happening. And for that, I'm just utterly grateful to be on the show with both of you.
It's our honor, and we want our community, when I gave shout out to Rainier Avenue for our birthday, our anniversary, our birthday, I guess it could be both. We are trying to do the work of the community and make sure that our community is taken care of and that our voices are heard. And so I'm happy to use this venue. This is not how Heartbeat started. I had no idea I was going to turn it into heavily political focus until I went through my defeat of politics. And I was like, oh, hell no, we're going to talk about some of this mess that's going on here. And so this is awesome. I did see the posting about the private prison ban. So that's a major win for our state. What other things, particularly about either business or, we're still in business recovery mode, PPP loans have been extended, grant, what can you update us on any of that aspect?
I think all of that is incredibly important, and sort of taking a look at what sort of came through in terms of Washington State, and particularly with the American Rescue Plan at the federal level, the dollars that are coming into Washington State because of that are incredible. There's $4.5 billion in state fiscal relief. There's $2.7 billion in local fiscal relief, more than $1.8 billion that'll go into schools. I mean, everyone who qualified got payments of $1,400 per person, plus more. This impacted 80% of the adults in Washington State and 77% of kids in the state. In addition to that, what Senator Patty Murray worked so hard on, which was the child tax credit, additional relief to 1.4 million children in Washington State. Their families will get an additional $1,600 per child, $300 a month that will come through, and additional relief through the earned income tax credit to 360,000 folks who don't have kids, of nearly $1,000. Marketplace health insurance premiums ended up getting lowered, and the dollars that are there for small businesses that can get passed through are incredible. There's almost $4 billion in debt relief that's targeted to Black, Indigenous, Latinx, in rural areas, and AAPI farmers of color, which in Washington State, people might just think Eastern Washington, but no, you should think all over the place. And folks who are in Kent, folks who are working on small family farms in a variety of different areas around the state. All of these folks end up getting additional dollars for debt relief. There's so much more in these bills as well. In terms of the extension of federal unemployment benefits as well, which is going through September of 2021, as well as a variety of other things with loans. And then there's an additional $1.7 billion for broadband targeting households without either an internet connection or a device for distance learning at home. And a disproportionate number of those kids from communities of color, lower income households on tribal lands or rural lands. So there's a lot that's happening in this bill, and a lot that's happening in terms of jobs as well, that will be a component of what President Biden released today in terms of his multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure program. So there is a lot on the table and a lot of great things happening with Democrats at the federal level, then moving that money down to the state level and implementing these in a variety of different programs. One of the best things, and one of the things we're lobbying for at the federal level, is student loan debt relief. So that is something that is super hot.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
For all of us, yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. And for small businesses, and especially thinking about sort of restaurants and small businesses, there is $28.6 billion that's going to go through in terms of what it's called the Restaurants Act, and a lot of it is relief for small businesses and small restaurants. Again, the Paycheck Protection Program dollars, another $7 billion for small business loans. And it changes the dynamic. I mean, smaller and smaller businesses can also be a part of this. Nonprofits, especially small nonprofits, can be a part of this as well. And that helps community building, because now community-based organizations are small nonprofits. So there is so much that's there. To me, it's a very exciting time to be able to be doing this kind of work and to make these kinds of changes. And I just think the clock is ticking for Democrats. We all know it, right? And we haven't even talked about the clock that's ticking for things like climate change. The clock is ticking. We've got 2 years. We've got to get past at the federal level filibuster reform to get these bills passed to take care of people. We've got to make sure that bills that have climate justice in them and a consistent aspect of climate justice and change and things that have things to do with healthcare as well, making sure that all of these different bills are going through and making them happen in this session. So a lot of things that are really, really great with big impacts in the community. I'm particularly excited too, and I guess I'll end with this and get you guys talking a little bit more too about the capital gains tax and what's happening in terms of changing our upside down tax code in Washington state. Look, the people who make or in the bottom 20% in terms of income earners in Washington state pay 21% of their income in taxes. The top 10% pay 1% in taxes. It's ridiculous. So the Republicans are spending a lot of nonsense on capital gains tax and implementing it. It's a 7% tax on capital gains, which is on selling stocks and things of that sort, that doesn't kick in unless you have at least $250,000 of gains. So unless you're a guy named Bill Gates or a guy named Jeff Bezos or a guy named Steve Ballmer or a couple other guys in that area, it's not going to impact you, but it is going to raise millions and millions of dollars for education, for all of these different programs. And it also funds a state working families tax credit that sends cash to lower income individuals to make up for their disproportionately high tax burden as it sits right now. So all of these things would be major and historic progress in moving to balance our tax code.
No kidding. That would be the district I ran for in the 48th, where all the top wealthy folks are there and not paying their portion. So that is awesome to hear that. And that is going to pass, you believe?
I think that it will. I mean, I think that the fight is going to be in the state Senate. It is through the House. It is in the state Senate. So for many of these bills, for folks who are interested in bills around police accountability, they're interested in these tax bills. If they're interested in how the dollars for economic recovery are parceled out to different folks, now is the time to know who your state senator is and to call your state senator and make sure that they are voting for these bills. It's easy to do it online. You just go to the Washington State Legislature website. It'll give you the phone number. If you don't know who your state senator is, you just pop in your address. It'll tell you who that person is. It'll get you right to their office. And you might be talking to some incredible people who are state senators who will indeed do this work and help you with these different efforts. But we've got to get these things through the Senate. We've got a 16-seat majority in the state House, making these House bills a little easier to pass. Only a 7-seat majority in the state Senate. Yeah. And that makes it more difficult as folks are starting to balance all of these different things. But I got to tell you, we're pushing hard for the Washington State Democrats. Police accountability was our number one set of issues. We put together a list of bills, the economic recovery issues, the health disparity issues, the capital gains tax. All of these things were so incredibly important to us. I've called and talked to my state senator. I've called and perhaps yelled at a couple other state senators and supporting these bills in the nicest way possible, right? I mean, we're a big Democratic family and we all have the same set of values. We might have different perspectives on how to get there. But my feeling is, you know what? Now is not the time to pick around the edges. We've got to go there and show this for the American people. We are coming out of a once in a lifetime, pandemic for all of us. If the number of people who have passed, the number of people who are ill, the number of folks who are healthcare workers, who are essential workers, grocery workers, warehouse workers, who we depend upon, they need us to pass each and every one of these bills and to take care of folks. And also, I know you've got one of our great mayoral candidates later. We need you to start thinking about these local elections this year.
Yeah.
Last year was rough, and thinking about what was happening in the presidential election. Thank goodness that we were able to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris elected. Thank goodness for Raphael Warnock, the Reverend.
Yes.
Reverend Senator or Senator Reverend, I'm not sure what he prefers, Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff winning their races in Georgia. Thank goodness for Stacey Abrams and all the work that we put together in all of these things. Thank goodness for Black women across the United States.
Yeah, we have a toast to that.
In every single state in this country, to make sure that Democrats won and had the opportunity to have Kamala Harris be the one casting that deciding vote. But all of these local elections, they matter. The race for Seattle mayor matters. The 2 races for Seattle City Council matter. So really take a hard look at those candidates, and wherever you might be in your school boards, whether you're listening in Tacoma, whether you're listening in SeaTac, Jeepers, we need help there, Renton, Kent, all of these different places, Snohomish County, wherever you're listening, over the waters, over in Bremerton, or over in the 26th Legislative District, Gig Harbor, anywhere you're listening across the state of Washington, get to know who your local candidates are, because they have an outsized impact on your lives every single day. And if you are interested in running for office, just let us know at Washington State Democrats. You can drop me a line. My email is chair, CHAIR, at wa-democrats.org. We will get you into our Rise and Run candidate training program if you're interested in running. We have been working as well with great folks, all through our set of elected officials to also get youth. And we're putting together a summer internship program around campaign work for youth as well. And we're excited about all those things that are going on. So it's the year to stay involved, to get involved, because I don't have to tell the 2 of you this, but man, we are fighting for everyone's lives and livelihoods here in Washington State and in this country.
I think you just said it best. That is a great way to say that. And I want to give a shout out to the allies that the folks standing next to and walking right alongside of these candidates. I know I had several, including you, Tina, that are just right there with me. I have my Cindis of the world, but I also have my Tinas of the world. And so thank you. And I want to be that person who is walking alongside of all of these women and all of these candidates of color who are running, because we know the other side is going to make sure they slip those folks in. They might seem real nice, but they're going to slip them in. And we need to get our folks who are thinking about everyone, not just one segment of a demographic group. It's everyone. And what's best for the greater good. So thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing.
I can't emphasize enough. I'm glad you brought it up about all the municipal races that are going on right now. Many times we've talked about this on the show. I never even thought of running for office before I did. Like, I was never involved in politics. And now it's like,
yeah, you're amazing. You should have been recruiting you years ago. So
but now we're recruiting all sorts of people, right, Cindi? We're like, come on, you should run. We did. You should run.
We help you, because I'm not prepared to step in that yet again. I have not said never say never. I've not said no permanently, but it is really important. It's why I started to bring on some of these different women and different folks of color and just highlighting their campaigns so that the public can hear. Like, I didn't even know there was a chair of Washington Democrats. This is not stuff that ordinary people know, but they're getting woke now, post that idiot in the president's seat for 4 years. People are starting to pay attention to how the local municipal races matter. And so, yeah. And so
it's glad to see. Go ahead, Cindi. Sorry.
I saw, just because we've got a couple minutes left before a commercial and we lose Tina, but you said you're recruiting for 1,500 races right now. Is that for 2022?
No, this is for 2021 for all of these races. There is a national organization called Contest Every Race. I've been working with them for a while now to do a partnership. They are investing $100,000 into Washington State for candidate recruitment specifically for these municipal races, and specifically focusing in on women, people of color, and folks from the LGBTQ or disabilities community.
Good.
It's not just running for the state legislature. It is absolutely positively running for school board, for public utility districts, for all of these different components. And it's getting outside the bounds of the city of Seattle as well. We want to make sure that we've got great candidates all throughout the state, whether we're talking about, Ritzville, whether we're talking about Yakima, whether we're talking about Bellingham, Vancouver, all of these different places. And I'm so excited about the work that we're doing and what that means. And hopefully we'll have a chance maybe later this year to come back and talk to both of you too about redistricting and how that impacts legislative districts, how it can impact congressional districts.
Yeah.
Back in 2011, to be slightly crass, Republicans screwed everybody in redistricting, but Democrats did not do their work. And I'm going to make sure that never happens again. So that's another thing for folks to know about.
We are not asleep right now, so we are awake and woke, and we will stay that way.
Yes. Look, we are at the break. I knew this was going to be the fastest damn half hour there was. Thank you for
you too. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on and updating the community and helping us to know what's going. We will definitely reach back out after session is over so we can update the community on all of it. Cheers to you, Tina Podlodowski, for leading us into this future. Thank you for coming on with us today. We're going to take a quick 3-minute break and we're going to be back. We have Colleen Echohawk backstage waiting to come on and talk about her run for the mayor. So we'll be right back.
Terrific. Thank you.
Set up the sacks. I favor black businesses. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Celebrating 4 years of broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in the interest of South Seattle and surrounding communities. Hey, it's Tony B, and yes, I'm excited to share with you that April 1st is our birthday. This one is our 4th of amplifying the diverse voices in our communities, broadcasting community events, providing award-winning instructional classes to youth and adults, supporting our music communities in all genres and forms, hosting critical conversations, and making sure that we are who you are. 2020 provided us with the opportunities to meet the needs of our communities. Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to have provided our communities with the most comprehensive coverage of how the coronavirus did and continues to impact our communities. And so, for our birthday, on behalf of our amazing staff, volunteers, and show hosts, to all of our contributors, supporters, listeners, and viewers, thank you. Thank you for your support and patience while we were trying to figure out this internet and broadcasting media thing 4 years ago. Thank you to our youth students who took our courses in interdisciplinaries like communication, journalism, multimedia, math and coding, adult digital literacy, social media analytics, beat making, film, photography, and of course, broadcast. Thank you for staying with us even when we made mistakes. You know that when we provide opportunities for you to share your voice, thoughts, issues, concerns, and talents, then we look at that as growing together. As the African proverb says, that is how we will go far. We have grown, and you've grown with us. We have over 80 shows hosted or produced by members of our communities. And all of this during a pandemic. But that is one reason why we do exist. As a true grassroots organization that started out broadcasting out of a study room in the Columbia City Library, we formed alliances with groups like the HCAACD, worked with city government, private developers, and a variety of arts organizations to promote sustainable art space, land acquisition, and ownership for arts organizations. I'm sure many were shocked when we leased 3 properties in the heart of Columbia City, providing our community members with business opportunities for a hair salon, barbershop, recording studio, rental hall, youth concert and celebration space, artist residency, and an art gallery, among the other multiple uses. We are continuing that growth as we move towards ownership of property in the Central District and in land acquisition in South Seattle's Columbia City to preserve the historical and cultural artistic integrity of our communities and ensure that independent voices continue to be heard. So for those of you who have found out about us recently, we thank you on our birthday for allowing us to broadcast our community-created content however and wherever you listen and watch. If you'd like to make a birthday donation to Rainier Avenue Radio, it would be much appreciated. Yes, times are tough, so any amount would be greatly appreciated. You will see the results. Here's how you can donate. You can go to our website at RainierAvenueRadio.world and go to the donate page. You can Venmo at Rainier Avenue Radio. You can send a check to Rainier Avenue Radio, P.O. Box 18774, Seattle, Washington, 981 118. You can donate to Shunpike, which is our fiscal agent, and just indicate that your contribution is for Rainier Avenue Radio. Shunpike is the 501c3 nonprofit agency that provides independent art groups like ours in Washington State services, resources, and opportunities. Once again, happy birthday to us at Rainier Avenue Radio World. We are your community radio station. We will continue to provide you with community-created content, broadcast live from our communities, and of course, we'll bring you high school sports like nobody else can. Join us in celebration. Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Heartbeat Radio. I'm your host, Cindi Bright, a proud person to celebrate, to be a part of the staff of Rainier Avenue Radio and celebrating our 4-year anniversary today. With no further pause here, the second half of our show, we are introducing back Joy Stanford as my co-host, and we are introducing in Miss Colleen Echohawk, who is running for the mayor of the city of Seattle. Everybody who knows me knows I love to highlight great women, so let's welcome Colleen in.
I love this. This is great.
Hi there. How are you?
Joy, like doing something like this, and that just made me happy. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm so excited, and congratulations on four years of doing this amazing Rainier Avenue Radio.
Yes, thank you for that. We are excited to have you on. We have our eyes peeled to who all the candidates are and who are the people we want to make sure we hear from. And so the community would love to hear from you. We've done our homework on you, but I want you to talk to the community about who you are, why you're running, and what you need from us to help you win.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for having me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Colleen Echohawk. I'm an enrolled member of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma. I belong to my relatives of the Upper Athabascan folks, where I've been adopted into that tribe. And I'm an urban Native person as well. I'm an Indigenous mother, an Indigenous. I see my Grant.
Your cousins are here.
Oh, that's awesome. I love you, Grant. Thanks for showing up there. But I'm rooted in who I am as a Native person. And I have been a leader here in this community for a while now. And I say that with a lot of humility, because the work that I have done has been to support some of our folks who've been suffering the most in our city. That's our folks who've been experiencing homelessness. And I think that we all know that in our city, this is one of the biggest issues that we have. We have folks who are sleeping outside tonight in one of the most prosperous cities in the country. 3,000 to 4,000 people will sleep outside on our streets, in our parks. And there just got to be a moment in my life where I felt like I needed to do more, that I was getting pushed to do more for my community. And so I have joined this mayoral race. And let me tell you, it's been quite the ride. I'm learning a lot, but we're just doing so well in our campaign. We're leading the way in fundraising, which is a good indicator of how the community is feeling about the race. And I just look forward to hearing more from community. I am rooted in the community and in seeing the brilliant ideas that come from community. I think it's time for our community to be leading and at the table and making generational change. It's time. And so I'm just delighted to get to be with you all and to get to share a little bit of my life and story with you.
Yeah, it's awesome. When I looked at some of your on your website at some of the things you stand for, I mean, you're basically reimagining a new Seattle. And I think that the community, no one's going to argue. I mean, I live on the east side. Joy lives down in Gig Harbor.
Gig Harbor. Yeah.
Wow.
But we aren't quite as impacted by the homeless problem that is going on in the city of Seattle. And there's just been a lot of controversy over the Seattle City Council. Can you talk to us about how you will approach addressing that homeless problem?
Yeah, almost 6 years ago now, we declared a state of emergency in our city around homelessness. And the way that I've been describing it is like we pulled the fire alarm, but we didn't send the fire trucks. And so we haven't had a concrete plan about like, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to treat this like an emergency. So I would be coming into the mayoral office with a plan. The first part of the plan is in that first year, we work with those folks who are sleeping in the parks and we sleeping in on the street or on the sidewalk, and we help them find a better solution. And that's going to take a lot of case management. It'll take a lot of innovative approaches around housing, and then we have to build that permanent housing. So I think that this is something that we absolutely can do. We just haven't been able to figure out what that right plan is and actually get that plan done. I have many, many years now of working with and supporting our homeless community. I build affordable housing. I have implemented new programs that work for our homeless community, and believe that I'm the candidate that has the best track record in solving and moving towards solving our homeless crisis. Mm-hmm. So there has to be a plan. There has to be leadership. And the final thing I'll say, and you guys both mentioned you live on the east side or in Gig Harbor, which I just love Gig Harbor. I'm so jealous you live in Gig Harbor, but it's such a beautiful place. But we know that our whole region is impacted by homelessness. And I've been a huge support of the Regional Homeless Authority. I was the co-chair of the Continuum of Care Board, which is the HUD mandated board, which has now moved into the Regional Homeless Authority structure. I'm excited about Mark Dones, who will be the new executive director of the Regional Homeless Authority. And I will be wanting to work within our region to find good solutions and to partner with our neighbors.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they filled that job, and it sounds like they did.
They did. Yeah, Mark Dones, he is actually the architect of the actual plan. And I guess he, threw his name into the hat, and now he's out there, going to be moving to Seattle. I talked to him the other day. I know him well and look forward to working with him in a different position. I'm excited to be leading our city. I have vision and hope for our city, and we have tremendous issues ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be hard. And, there was a moment during the pandemic where I just looked around at my community. I looked around at our homeless community. I looked at my friends and relatives who are working in health equity work. And I have this sense of like, if we don't have the right kind of leadership, some of the issues have been impacting our communities of color that have been, been really incredible disparity. We will have even greater on the other side of COVID without the right kind of leadership. And I believe that I've been called to this moment. I actually felt like I just couldn't say no, knowing like the kind of skills that I have and the lens that I have and the belief that I have in our communities.
But to that point,
how are you? Oh, sorry, Cindi.
You can go ahead. I want to make sure I ask her two things. Do you want to go first, Joyce?
Yeah. I'm always going to ask the candidates as we bring them on this: permanent supportive housing, tiny homes, container housing. What's your thing? Where are you on that? Because I am a proponent of permanent supportive housing. We broke ground here in Bremerton, here in my district, on a 70 unit spot. I'd like to see that happen in Gig Harbor, Bainbridge, Tacoma, Federal Way, Seattle. Where are you on that?
Oh, by the way, Colleen, in case you didn't know, Joy and I both ran for the state legislature. So when you hear us talking about this stuff, know that we know this stuff inside and out.
We've already said it. We said it. We pounded our head with it. It was all over our campaign website. So.
Oh, well, I feel like I'm in good company. You guys know what I'm going through right now.
Yes, we do.
It's intense. I'm learning so much every day. To your question, I'm building permanent supportive housing right now. I believe in permanent supportive housing.
Yes.
It is part of the solution for solving homelessness. Housing first, absolutely. I think that's a very indigenous value, actually, to look at the situation and the crisis that we're in and say, at the very basis of human society. You deserve a home and housing is a human right. And it is, I believe in housing justice. This is a justice issue. And we have to recognize that. I am building 125 units or 120 units of permanent supportive housing right now for Chief Seattle Club. And I just believe in it with all my heart. And, to your question about, tiny homes, I don't think tiny homes are a good long-term solution. But if we're thinking about an emergency, then I think we have to look at an all of the above approach. Tiny homes, hotel rooms. I know that we have people at Chief Seattle Club in hotel rooms right now that I just never imagined, a year and a half ago that we'd be doing this. So we have to use that all of the above approach. There's buildings that are open. And I also think that there are community-led solutions that are super important. I have found working in the housing justice work and building housing that there's not enough of Black and Indigenous and people of color communities who are leading the charge around affordable housing. And I believe there's some solutions there that we just haven't heard yet. So I'm looking forward to hearing from community and implementing some brilliant ideas that are out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for being open-minded about those things and really being forceful about, yes, tiny homes is a starting point, but we don't want to stay there. We do not. We want to move to something else. Although, I met a gentleman in the South Sound here who's doing container places, and the option and the idea is very good. So I'd love to talk to you offline about that and make sure you're connected.
We can talk housing for a long time, I think, Joy, because we have a lot of ideas and possibilities. I always try to remind people, long before, there was colonization as country, there were thriving housing systems. And we don't often think like, well, what were the Native community doing around housing? I mean, there was beautiful longhouse housing in the Coast Salish community. Why aren't we thinking about building longhouses? Why does everything have to look exactly the same that, honestly, a white male architect created? We need
you used the right word. It was the colonization is what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Colleen, what do you, two things I want to make sure the community hears from you on. One is, how do you reconcile what's going on with the business community when a new mayor takes over? I think we're all anxious to hear about, I'm on the east side. We know one of the major non-tax paying companies is moving to the east side. And so how do we deal with the business issues? And then the second, as the mayor, you will be the chief the chief of police will report to you. So our community is watching right now on TV policing issues. So can you talk to both of those issues for us?
Absolutely. I get asked two questions every single day. One is how will you work with the city council? Because everything seems so negative right now. And two, what will we do about business in Seattle? And it's a really important question. I grew up in small business. I grew up with my grandma who owned a small motel. I worked and lived with her and got to see how small business works. I also own my own small business. So I believe wholeheartedly in supporting business and supporting, I think that the part of the thing that's so exciting about this opportunity as we come out of COVID, like we need to be thinking about how we incubate small business for Black and Indigenous people of color. Like this is the opportunity. And then we do have some, big business. And before I jump into that, I just want to say too, there's also other business here in Seattle that we sometimes tend to not talk enough about. We have the maritime business. We have other businesses that are doing some really good work and offer some really excellent paying jobs. I've been talking to the unions and I'm just excited about what those kind of opportunities look like outside of the dominant conversation we end up having about big business. And my thoughts on big business is this. We have this company, let's just call it Amazon, that that is been so has built their business here in Seattle. I believe that Seattle has always been an entrepreneurial city from the start, and so I believe in that entrepreneurial spirit. And I also saw that on the Amazon website, it very clearly said Black Lives Matter. They were clear about it, and they spoke out about it. And I believe that if you believe, I think that if you believe that Black Lives Matter, then you believe in affordable housing. If you believe that Black Lives Matter, then you believe in supporting small business and Black-owned businesses. If you believe in that Black Lives Matter, you believe in police accountability. So I think that we need to inspire and encourage and hold accountable our big businesses that are saying that they believe in Black Lives Matter, and lead them to the right kind of solutions and investment in the community. And so that's what I'm thinking right now. I love to hear more ideas from people who are listening today. Email us and let us know what you're thinking about ways that we can hold companies like Amazon accountable to what they said they believe in. And that's just in general. We have a issue in this city around saying we're a progressive city, but not addressing it. So, and that's just something we're going to have to deal with. There is the issue of what will we do about taxing Amazon? Like how can they? I believe that they should be a part of ensuring that this city is thriving, and that the people that work here can actually live here.
That's right.
And our teachers can work here, and the warehouse workers can live in the city. And so that is going to be definitely a discussion that I want to have with them, to have with the city council. I want to make sure we're successful on it. I don't want another, I have the luxury of learning about what happened with the head tax and want to, be in conversation with these big businesses to understand how we make it successful and an investment in the community that we can all live with. But it's going to be very interesting as we move forward, and we'll just have to see it happens there.
Yeah. And remind them that those restaurant workers, those warehouse workers, those nurses, those teachers use their business.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what we need to remind them of.
And then Cindi, I forgot there was another layer on that.
Just around police reform, what your views are about that.
I have been involved in police reform work since the murder of John T. Williams. I serve people who walked alongside John T. Williams, and to this day are petrified of the Seattle Police Department, and will not call them. If they're assaulted, they're not going to call the Seattle Police Department. I've also been a commissioner, a Seattle Community Police Commissioner, and seen what the reform work looks like after this murder of John T. Williams and the consent decree that is on us right now, and on our city and on our police department. And so I am very aware of what that consent decree means for us as we push for police accountability. And we're going to have to be very careful about how we do that. We heard some stern words recently from Judge Robart about making sure that as we move into reimagining policing, that we stay current and are following the consent decree. The final thing I'll say about that is that we have to have a chief of police that is truly accountable. Over the summer, I was stunned, I think, with a lot of us when we saw, this kind of blatant tear gassing on peaceful protesters, and we saw, officers who were covering their badge numbers even though they were, ordered not to. We have a Seattle Police Officers Guild that is just truly a huge problem in this arena. We have that the union right now is protecting 6 officers that went to the insurrection.
Right.
Insurrection and our national government. we cannot allow this to happen. And as mayor, I would be pushing and pushing and pushing for greater police reform and accountability through our chief of police and through our union as well, through the Seattle Police Officers Union.
Did you by any chance hear Tina Podlodowski's segment that she did when she talked about the bills that are passing in the House and Senate around police reform? By any chance?
I did not, but I've been following that closely, and I've testified on one of those one of the bills that which I'm spacing out on the number. Yeah, but I've been following it and believe in it. I'm very grateful for Senator Joe Nguyen and his incredible leadership in that space, and I believe that part of what is going to be really exciting is that knowing that there's stuff that can be done on the state level that can really contribute to police accountability here in Seattle. Yeah. The way that the system has worked now is that a police officer can, be fired from the Seattle Police Department, but then go work in another department, and we're not holding them accountable for their past actions in another police department. So I know that that's one of the bills that's being passed is to be holding officers accountable in that arena as well. Yeah. So I didn't get to watch her. Sorry, I was on a.
No, it's fine. Just so you
we know you're busy. We were there.
You understand.
The show is recorded though, Colleen, just in case you want to watch it and hear
I would love
about
it. Thank you.
And in just our last few minutes that we have left, I want to make sure, can you talk to the voucher program? Do people, because we want to make sure that we got people sending in vouchers for you. So talk about that.
Cindi, oh my gosh. The voucher program is so beautiful. I don't know about you all, but there was a lot of years in my life that I could not contribute. I could not afford to contribute to a political campaign. It just, I don't have generational wealth, right? Mm-hmm. And so the democracy voucher really levels the playing field. There are people that are sending in their vouchers to Echohawk for Seattle who haven't never contributed to a political campaign before because they know me and they trust me and they want to be a part of getting me elected. And so we are leading the democracy voucher race right now. We are at over 9,400 vouchers. We're hoping to get to 10,000 vouchers by tonight.
Wow.
Yes, we are. I have to tell you ladies, I'm so overwhelmed and stunned by all the support.
It's awesome. I looked at your fundraising. I went on the PDC before just to see how you were compared to everybody else. It looks like you're leading the pack right now.
She's leading the pack.
Yeah, leading the pack there, and I'm just humbled. I'm so honored. I'm so honored that people believe in this campaign and believe in me, and I take it really seriously and would love to continue to get those coming in. You can go online and find out where if they somehow didn't get to your house, you can find them online. If you just Google democracy vouchers in Seattle, it's a brilliant program. And I'm just so honored to be leading the way there.
And just for our listeners, we had Nikita Oliver on last week, and we were able to show how for anybody who can't find their vouchers, how to get replacement vouchers. And so there's not loss of hope if you don't have them. You can get replacement ones, and then they just send them into your campaign. Is that how that's done?
We'll just send them in. I mean, it's so easy. The way it's set up is that you can just pop them in the mail. You do not have to have stamps, and they just go directly to the democracy voucher program, and they collect them there.
Okay, well, we've got just a couple minutes. Colleen, what final words would you like to leave our listeners and audience? What would you like to leave with them, including how to contact you, where your website, and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, Colleen Echohawk.
Thank you, Cindi and Joy. I'm just so grateful. I believe that we have a tremendous future to look forward to. This pandemic has been hard on all of us. I have experienced a lot of worry and anxiety for my friends and my family, for my parents, and we've gone through a lot as a community. This is the time for a new generation of leadership. This is a time for us to truly take into consideration and act out our goals of equity and racial and social justice. And that is the lens that I will lead from. So I would be so honored to have you all participate in our campaign. You can find us at echohawkforseattle.com. You can find us on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And very soon we'll be on TikTok, which I'm really excited about. We have over 200 volunteers supporting the campaign, including some wonderful high school students who are going to help us get set up on TikTok. And we want to be reaching every single person, because every single person matters in the city. Every single person should feel like City Hall belongs to them, and that the mayor is there to take care of them, to support them. We didn't get to talk about infrastructure, but I think a good mayor takes care of the infrastructure, because we're taking care of the city, taking care of each other. I've been taught in the Native community that we belong to each other. And as a mayor, that's what I would be doing. I would be saying to all of us, we belong together. Let's take care of each other and solve these crises in our communities.
Colleen Echohawk, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yes.
And giving our audience an update on your campaign. We look forward to following you through the next few months. To our listeners who joined us tonight, thank you so much for joining us and listening to both this phenomenal candidate and the legislative update. Joy and I will look forward to seeing everybody next week. Have a good week, everybody.
Vote Colleen Echohawk.
Vote Colleen.
Rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo.